Greetings, friends and fiends, and welcome to The Keep. I am Lindsay the Keeper, and it is my duty to protect this reality from eldritch horrors by reading tales from r/RPG horror stories. Here's a tricky question for you. What do you get when you take the traits of an r/nice guy and an alpha male and put them into an assuming male body? You get an incel. According to the definition from Oxford Languages, an incel is a member of an online community of young men who consider themselves unable to attract women sexually, typically associated with views that are hostile towards women and men who are sexually active. Now, I have never met someone like this, but I have heard some intense stories about them, and today's story is no different. In today's tale, Obi tells her story how an incel was invited to join her D&D group, and this guy not only tried to court her as soon as possible, but he made it so damn creepy to the point that it involved mentions of a trigger warning in this story. Now, my original idea for this video was not only going to do this story, but Obi also made a post on r/nice guys where she revealed the messages she mentioned towards the end of the story of what he wrote to her while she was asleep. But two problems with it. One, this video itself was already long before the screenshots. And two, doing the messages with Incel's voice really hurt my throat. So I am going to split it into two videos. So you will see that dumpster fire of a message next week. Now, sit back, relax, and cuddle up to your favorite tendril as I read you this horrifying tale. Enjoy! This story is written by Pesnell PP's Picks with the title, Incel Tries to Flirt with a Devil. Trigger warning, brief mentions of... You gotta be kidding me. Let's do this. This is a story about the one half of a session of D&D with an incel. Not only was I the only girl playing, but the only female character was played by a guy. This will be important later. Our games are online and we turn on our cameras and do makeup to fit our characters. Also, we play the campaign seriously with not that serious characters, but with enough backdoors built into them that work well as a party. We were playing a scripted campaign for 4 players. Lady, cleric and healer of the party. A very sweet, very old lady with unexpected sexual jokes. We were all okay with these, and an amount of sass you never expect from a grandma. Also, likes to hit people with her purse. Steve, the most human as humanly possible fighter. Think of your most generic fighter, but more average. Cool dude though. Yes, his name was Steve. At that time, we still needed an arcane caster, a ranged damage dealer, and a stealthy one. This is where Incel, Steve's older brother, came into play. He asked if he could join, but the DM wasn't sure about balancing the fights for 5 players as it was his very first time DMing. I had an idea how to navigate around that issue, so I just said not to worry about it. After a few private calls, the rest of the party was all lined up. Incel, an edgy rogue, somehow even more generic than the intently generic fighter. Warlock, pretty innocent dude, got tricked into the pack by his evil mother. Me, the Warlock's devilish familiar. My job was to get the good Warlock on track and play nanny. Yes, I was basically playing Lucy from Disenchantment. I was not so helpful in combat, but always supported the party in social interactions and causing distractions and chaos, like making a waitress with her hands full of beer mugs trip and fall as a party member attempted to sneak out of the tavern. Only Warlock, DM, and I knew I was playing, and we wanted to keep that secret as long as possible. I joined the call first, but muted myself and left the camera turned off. I was AFK for a few minutes as I prepared a nice drink and got my notes, which I forgot to grab, in the other room. I came back and the others were all on the call. Incel and I were the only ones without a camera on at that moment. I put my headphones on to hear this interaction. Steve, Yeah, I think OP will be back in a minute. I bet she left her note somewhere again. Incel. She? What do you mean by she? Lady. Her pronouns are she, her, as far as I know. Why are you asking? Incel. You have a female in your game? Or is it a gay slur for trans people? I was about to unmute myself, but decided against it and just listen. Lady. I don't know, and it's none of my business either. Does it even matter? Then Incel went on a rant about how females are just infiltrating men's spaces for attention, and how my friends could deal with someone with such a low IQ for extended periods of time. My friends didn't say anything, but their faces were a mix of shock, insecurity, and confusion. I wrote in the chat, I'll be there any second, having an argument with my headphones again, to give my friends a few moments and to see how Incel reacts. He went quiet, and after a normal conversation came up again, I joined the voice chat, still without the camera on. We did our session 0 stuff in the chat before, so the DM explained to Incel some stuff about the online tools we used. No more comments about me. The DM explained that I'd jump in later, and he let the PCs meet for the first time. Steve was in a pretty full tavern. Incel and Warlock came in separately, but the only free chairs left were at Steve's table. Warlock asked if he could sit down, and Steve nods and they ordered something. Incel says he wanted to fuse with the shadows in the corner. The DM describes that there is already a shady figure in said shadows. I shoved that jerk out of the way. After a few attempts to get Incel to join the other players, the DM allowed him to shove the NPC and stay in the corner. Then, Lady came into the tavern, looked around, and spotted Steve and Warlock. I think you two are someone I'm looking for, she said, claiming the chair next to Steve. What do you mean? Have we met before? Warlock asked. She laughed. No, but I was told to look here for a human in uniform. Although I gotta say, you look quite handsome in uniform. She likes to withhold details. Also, a magician and a dude with an oversized hoodie. I assume you can wield magic? A moment of silence. What? Who told you? What? A sigh. My goddess told me I would meet you here. She has a task for us. Steve and Warlock were confused. What task? Steve asked. Do you always ask that stupid questions? Gosh, these men nowadays. Only looks and no brains. Lady turned to Warlock. Can you wield magic? He nodded. Then Lady explained the first quest, without Incel as he was still in the corner and not interacting with the others. Apparently, Lady's sexual remarks were the green light for Incel to also do that. Just that we all agreed to Lady doing that and him stopping as soon as anyone expresses discomfort. He also cussed out Lady in a break about the men being only looks and no brains comment, as well as complaining that I wouldn't really play and that he expected nothing else from a female, as I was told that day after. There were a lot of homophobic slurs and microaggressions from Incel towards his brother Steve for letting a gay slur flirt with him. Lady was a 70-year-old grandma telling the 23-year-old fighter and generally every young guard in uniform we came across how handsome they are. Steve was in-game not knowing how to deal with it and awkwardly trying to get her to stop with the compliments from his side. Out of game, he was laughing his ass off and really enjoying goofing around. I have to mention that we actually use different out-of-game languages for different in-game languages. Common is English, Infernal is Spanish, Elvish is German, etc. We updated the DM in a private message about details he needs to know that we didn't tell the party in English. One day, Warlock was caught talking to someone? Himself? in Spanish/Inferno and was confronted by the party. We had to reveal that he wasn't a sorcerer, but a warlock, and explain how it came to that pack, which meant I had to reveal myself. So I turned on the camera as the devil dropped his invisibility. Incel's attitude changed immediately. He tried to take my hand, kiss it, and then introduce himself to me like a gentleman. I smacked his fingers with my tail and returned to my spot on Warlock's shoulder. On multiple occasions, Incel completely ignored the fact that I was a male devil, not interested in any romance, and tried to court me. He got mad at me when I talked in Spanish, actively excluding him by trying to prevent him from metagaming. He got mad when I played out my shenanigans/teaching Warlock how to be evil, like stealing cookies, jamming random logs with small stones, pushing Lady to overeat on cake, etc. I gotta start somewhere trying to convert a good character, right? He got exceptionally mad when he learned that I was sipping on long drink with alcohol. Thinking back, he got pissed off by everything deemed unmanly and me doing non-feminine stuff. I wanted to take a pause in the story and sort of reflect half of the story so far. First, nothing wrong with bringing a sibling to a gaming group as long as everyone is cool with it. My brother and I play D&D together and it's fun. But sometimes if you feel the vibe of the room changes because your sibling is acting like a cringe lord or a dick, you may need to sit down and talk to them. Also, it's not cool using slurs towards someone you barely know. It's none of your business on that level unless you are willing to get to know that person and not be a judging jerk about it. Another thing, I can never understand why some people hate role-playing. That is part of D&D. The 3 keys to Dungeons & Dragons are exploration, roleplay, and combat. Without any of these keys, you are stuck in a small town for the rest of your life playing marbles or something. Lastly, I feel like it's a very red flag when someone who once insulted me because of my gender I was born with immediately starts trying to flirt with me and tell me how unladylike I'm being, which would make me full on anti-dicks or be petty as hell and get myself a girlfriend. Personally, I would make sure that the DM is very clear on my thoughts and feelings about this guy as soon as he tries to make moves on me, cause I don't have time for small energy men in my life. But let's continue the story to see how horrible it can turn. Roleplay was exceptionally hard with him. Teamwork was even worse. He had main character syndrome, and I quote, "too alpha to give away the lead to a gay slur." Lady had instructions and hints on what to do from her goddess, but we all chose approaches that included as many characters as possible. Incel always wanted to do co-op stealth missions with me in dark alleys and spend hours hiding. With me. Reminder, I was Warlock's familiar, not his. And I did not want to find out which romantic approaches he might attempt towards a devil, as his flirting attempts to random female NPCs were just disgusting and completely out of place. Then the combat encounter came around. We almost had proof of a powerful NPC's corruption and were interrogating the only witness, a crying 12-year-old girl. Steve was on his knees comforting her. Lady was across the room inspecting a broken glass. Warlock carefully packing the girl's stuffed animal into his backpack to fix it later, and I was trying to convince him to just destroy it entirely. Warlock turned to me and whispered, "Dude, you're terribly evil." I shot back, "Yeah, hun, I'm a devil." Incel inserted himself into the conversation, shouting at Warlock not to call me dude and to stop insulting me. This alarmed the guards and they ambushed us. Incel was first. "I jump in front of Lady to protect her." You don't have enough movement," DM explained. Yes, I have. And he placed his token in front of mine. Like, how do you know where OP's at? He's invisible. Steve chimed in. First of all, it's she. Second, I'm protecting her. At this point, nobody had the will to try to approach him with logic and reason. So we continued the fight. Steve fought against 3 guards protecting the girl. Warlock prevented more guards from entering, and Lady faced another guard in melee. I tried to get to Lady and help her, but Incel grabbed me and prevented me from getting there. Yes, the DM made him roll checks. Sadly, he passed them. Lady failed her spell and was knocked unconscious. Steve went down against 2 guards. Warlock got critted by the 3rd, and Incel still was not fighting and keeping me from helping, causing a TPK. The DM uses DM powers to call upon a divine intervention from Lady's goddess, teleporting us to 2 safe but different locations. He rolled who ended up where. Lady, Steve, and Warlock ended up in one location, while the girl, Incel, and I somewhere else in a forest. This is when Incel revealed more of himself. Hey, OP, do you want to do something fun? I mean, there's nobody around. As a devil, I couldn't straight up say no, so I carefully asked, what do you have in mind? I want to take care of the girl. Silence. You want to kill her? Incel laughed. No, I wanna... Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Just... why? Okay, I can do this. No, I want to do a not-okay act until she stops crying. More silence. You know, I'm all about doing the evilest stuff possible. But there are things disgusting enough not even the most devilish of devils do, yet alone me. At this point, the DM interrupted us, saying that he will leave it as it is and call it a day. We awkwardly ended the call. Later, we were all in a private call discussing Incel's actions. I was very clear that I did not want to play with Incel again. Steve tried to argue that Incel is a very troubled guy and that he would talk to his older brother later. Lady and Warlock wanted to get a good night's rest over the situation and think about what to do the next day. DM wasn't sure how to handle it. The next day, I got a private and disgusting love confession message on Discord from Incel. So I blocked him and sent screenshots to the other players. I straight up said, it's me or him, you can't have both. We agreed to have him play another session without me to see if he's still as terrible. But shortly after this dumpster fire, he got his ass kicked into jail. Needless to say, I played session 2 without Incel, having fun and feeling safe knowing he's behind bars. End of story. Wow. I feel immediately grossed out from the story itself that I want to clean my throat out with bleach. I will never understand how some people can really act like this and be perfectly fine with it. But let's get back to the story. OP, you did the right thing by expressing your discomfort with this player because no one should put up with it. At all. Even if it's for roleplay purposes, or he has completely fallen in love with you, does not mean you have to go with it. This is why everyone who does this always mentions to go to the DM and let them know. Unless the DM is a POS person, then the next best thing is leaving the game. Because no D&D is better than bad D&D. Period. But trust me when I say this, If you think this story is bad, the screenshots are a lot worse, and you're going to be listening or seeing this by next week. So, be prepared for that. Now that the story is over, and reality is still in a state of calm, I'm going to depart for now. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos. You can also send me an email if you have a particular story you want me to read on this channel. I hope to see you all in the next video.